Hi, I am Thea Summerdeer, and I would like to invite you to join me in learning about the deepest organs in our body, our kidneys, our hidden treasure that hold the essence of our vitality, our dreams for the future, and the key to our longevity. In the wisdom of the Chinese five elements, the urinary tract system corresponds with the water element, which is the first and most essential of the five elements. And while it's true that at the time of this recording it's still very much winter, which also corresponds with the water element, any time of the year is a good time to be learning about this vital system. This course is an open enrollment course, work at your own pace. I've been teaching this class online for 10 years, and because of how many people it has empowered, both healthcare professionals and individuals, I am very excited to be offering it again in a newly revised and updated course at Five Element Academy. The kidney in traditional Chinese medicine is essential because it provides the foundation for all yin and yang qualities in the body. The root emotion, interestingly enough, that corresponds with the water element is fear. And like the kidneys, fear can be deeply rooted. While healthy fear alerts and protects us, excessive fear fosters a general insecurity about life and can injure the kidneys. The other side of this is that weak kidneys are capable of generating fearful feelings, which in turn blocks loving experiences. And this is why this class is especially important right now to help us understand how what is going on in our world is affecting our health at the deepest levels. We will also look at how the kidneys are in relationship with the other organ systems. For example, when fear-ridden kidneys fail to remove excess water, the heart of fire element's normal expression of joy and love are extinguished. This can become a vicious cycle. Many people receive psychotherapy in an attempt to identify and dismantle these deep insecurities. But if the kidney adrenal complex has not been restored and lacks reserves, little changes. But when we restore the kidneys to any significant degree, it's amazing to watch the dark clouds lift, fear dissipate, and we begin to feel lighter and more elated. This class also discusses the reproductive system and sexuality in both men and women, especially as it relates to infertility, hormone imbalance, sexual maturation, prostatitis, impotence, and vaginal dryness. There would be no need, and that's just a little aside here, there would be no need for vaginal lubricants or Viagra if we learned how to nurture our deep yin reserves. It's about having a juicy life. So some of the objectives of what you can expect to learn in this class, and I'd like to call attention to the photo that's behind the words. It's a photo I took in Alaska of the Mendenhall Glacier. Blue is the color and winter is the season that corresponds with the water element. And winter is the season when we consolidate our resources, with ice being the most consolidated form of water. The ancients understood this. They understood the need to consolidate, but our modern world just keeps pushing toward excess, pushing ourselves with stimulants and a yang-driven lifestyle that values the human doing and not the human being. This overheated, driven lifestyle depletes our deep yin watery reserves and not only causes our health to break down, but also the health of the planet. We have much to learn and accomplish in this class. Your kidneys play a vital role in homeostasis just below your ribs in your lower back, with one on each side. They're the size of two small clenched fists. They're the deepest organ in the body and the most yin. So you might want to just, right now, let's just take a second and just put your hands on your kidneys, your lower back, and just feel and breathe into them. The deepest organs in the body. Just come into relationship with your kidneys. Relationships are very important in this class. five element theory is the study of relationships. The health of the kidneys is foundational, not only because it contains the essence that we were born with and inherited, but it is also the essence that we pass on to the next generation. We have lost sight of this in Western medicine. It is this essence that determines our potential for regeneration, growth, and the continuity of life being threatened by the poisoning of our bodies and of our environment. The wisdom of the five elements addresses all of this: the psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual, where the individual is seen as a whole person, a human being in relationship with and not separate from the natural world, which also describes the wise woman tradition. The Chinese concept of kidney goes beyond that of Western physiology and includes adrenal gland activity. Through the exercises in this class, we will better understand these relationships and patterns in health and disease. The five element system of the ancient Chinese aids us to not only seasonally attune, but also gives us a powerful self-diagnostic tool and puts the relationships between organ systems into perspective. It gives us tools. And in this perspective is one in which we see the entire person connected within a system that is described by the elements. Five element theory is an elegant system passed down in an unbroken lineage for thousands of years. It's much older than our Western model, and it's not as broken as the Western European herbal tradition. When during the witch hunts and the Inquisition in Europe, so many of our wise people and healers were killed that when they came over to this continent, they had lost a lot of that knowledge. It's amazing how much of it has remained intact. But in the Eastern Chinese medicine, this is an unbroken lineage that has been passed down for thousands of years. And through empirical observation, it was noted that a kidney imbalance is related to fear and to bone disorders. Several thousand years later, it still holds true. We will identify physical, psychological, and emotional symptoms of a water imbalance. Again, we look at the entire person, where deficiency can lead to disease and is seen as a disruption of relationships. Most patterns of kidney imbalance manifest as deficiency. In this class, we will learn what it is to have a longevity plan and how to create a longevity plan. That is something that we're not told to do. We are in burnout mode, most of us, and so we're really going to look at how we can preserve our inheritance. This is a really interesting concept, the palace of fire and water, because again, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about the relationship here between water and fire. And we need a balance of this courage and healthy fear. Because if water is out of control, it will extinguish our fire. And if our fire is raging out of control, it will deplete our water. Kidney yin is responsible for the internal secretions of the body. And kidney yang, as you can see, it's the warming, energizing, controlling function that animates all of life's processes. This is why it's so essential. And this warmth is driven deeper into the body during the winter months and when we can become easily chilled. In fact, if one does become easily chilled, it's because there hasn't been enough consolidation of resources to warm the interior. If you look at the five-pointed star, water would be at the bottom, and it nourishes all of the other organs. We're going to look at therapeutic strategies, and I will share information about formulations, like when tonifying the yin, the importance of adding a little yang tonic to create balance, and a mild diuretic to avoid stagnancy, and possibly an astringent to stabilize and bind, which helps to hold the moisture in. Rose hips would be a good example of an astringent. So we will look at foods. I have a food blog where I post foods that are good for this element system. We will look at herbal allies, and we will look at lifestyle. So there are lifestyle, herbal, supplemental recommendations that I will make in this class, and a lifestyle that balances activity with rest, finding a peaceful approach to vibrant sexuality, strengthening our capital while avoiding wasting our inner resources, avoiding a yang-driven lifestyle that burns up our inner reserves. And adrenal burnout is so common when we're valued for what we do and not who we are. We need to find a less manic, a more sustainable source of energy. We need to find time to slow down and ask how we might become more effective by becoming more reflective. Because periods of overextension almost always end in collapse rather than achieving the more sustained and sustainable energy that we desire for our work. So I welcome you to join me in this class. There's more information on my website, theasummerdeer.com, or you can go to wisdomoftheplantdevas.com, or you can go directly to the class, which is Hidden Treasure Teachable at Teachable. And it's for you if you are a person that tends to get sick during the winter or at the change of the seasons, if you have reoccurring bladder infections or issues with water metabolism. You want to create a longevity plan. I can help you to do that. If you lack willpower, because the kidneys house an aspect of the psyche known as the will. And how much more could we accomplish if we had more willpower? This is something that I see in my practice when I'm making recommendations with a client, is that it's really easy to go out and buy supplements and herbs, but if you don't have the willpower to follow through, you know what happens? They sit on your counter and they don't work if you don't take them. So compliance is a really important consideration in herbal medicine, and by strengthening our willpower and by keeping it simple, we can ensure compliance, and a little baby step can bring great results, which then gives us more confidence to go on and make bigger changes. So we'll talk about how to do that. And teaching 5-element is my passion. I'm also a water sign, and so I really resonate with the truths that this element teaches us. And I would like to close with a with a lovely quote from the 11th century AD from the Tao Chang, and it goes like this. It's called the archetype of water. Of all the elements, the wise sage should take water as his teacher. Water is yielding, but all-conquering. Water extinguishes fire. Or finding itself likely to be defeated, escapes as steam and reforms. Water washes away soft earth, or when confronted by rocks, seeks a way around. Water corrodes iron till it crumbles to dust. It saturates the atmosphere so that wind dies. Water gives way to obstacles with deceptive humility, for no power can prevent it following its destined course to the sea. Water conquers by yielding. It never attacks, but always wins the last battle. The wise sage who makes himself as water is distinguished for his humility. He embraces passivity, acts from non-action, and conquers the world. From the Tao Ching, 11th century AD. Please join me in learning about one of the most vital organ systems in the body, the kidneys.